Right, like I don't know what his strength. That's the great way to put it. Is like I don't know if he has a real strength in this league. I don't know what it is.
That's what I like about AJ Griffin.
Yeah, we know what AJ is.
AJ's a sniper, and he plays good enough defense, and he's got good length, and I think he's athletic. He can continue to develop. I'm excited to see what he can become, but
I'm very in on the AJ Griffin.
I'm big in on AJ Griffin. He's not like a rookie of the year kind of guy, but he's going to be a dude who's going to continue to play at a high level, and that excites me. If he finishes top 5 in the rookie of the year, that's.
Do you believe if the Braves don't re-sign Dansby that they'll go internal? Do you think that's all posturing?
No, they're not. Well, because the thing is, all right, if you don't re-sign Dansby Swanson, I think that means that his contract got up into like the 25, 26, 27 range. I don't think they're going to want to pay that. I don't think that they should. If that's the case, then go get me a Bogarts or something. Because, look, one thing that we see in Major League Baseball, what's the first thing, especially with infielders, what's the first thing that you see start to erode over time? Defense. What is he known for? What is he bringing to the table above all else? Defense. You can't sign him to a $125 million contract over the next 5 years and expect the defense to stay at this Gold Glove level necessarily. You sign him to a really, really long-term deal, that's not going to go well for the Atlanta Braves, especially if you're paying at a very high AAV. If that's the case, go get me a bat. Go get me a Bogarts. Go get me a Trey Turner, somebody who's going to hit the ball effectively and consistently, more importantly. I do think that the Atlanta Braves retain Dansby Swanson. I'm pretty confident that it's going to happen. But we saw this last year. That was my opinion last year, and we saw what happened. You enter the open market, somebody's going to pay you. Mm-hmm. But if we get to that situation where the money gets so lucrative, like $25 million, I'm not paying him $25 million. I can't justify that. He's not he shouldn't be the highest paid AAV on this team. He's a big part of that locker room. He's a big part of that clubhouse. He showed flashes last year for long stretches of time where he was like an MVP like hitter, and on defense too with his glove. But I don't think that they're going to pay that much money for him. I think they should still go get him. I know your question was, will they go internal? Probably not. I just don't think that they're where they want to be with the guys in house. And this is still a team that can go win a World Series. So if you lose a Dansby Swanson, you need to retain at least somebody at that level and then see if you can go win another World Series. But if you do price yourself out of Dansby Swanson, that means that most of those other guys are around that price point. And that makes me a little concerned.
I don't think they get any of the 4. And I think it was, who was it? Was it Passon or Heyman? I forgot who it was. Who was like, if the Braves don't get re-sign Dansby, they're not in on the other 4 or the other 3.
Yeah, and that's kind of my line of thinking at this point. I want them to. It's just going to be so expensive. And I have seen no.
It's probably just moving Albies over to shortstop, and then they'll put Vaughn at second, would be my guess.
What would you say? You said what?
Move Albies to short and Vaughn to second.
No. They put Ozzie Albies at second for that reason. He doesn't have the range.
Do you think Vaughn does?
I think I would put Vaughn at shortstop well before Ozzie. No, absolutely not. He's too small. He won't be Arcia. I don't like that situation. He came up through the system as a shortstop.
Yeah.
But Vaughn is also, he's a much bigger player. I think he's much more athletic than like as far as on defense. And so you don't want to put that guy at second when you have the opportunity to put him at short. I'm putting him there. I just don't think he's ready necessarily. Maybe he can come in and make some plays and be a stopgap, and that's what he was this year at second base. But we also saw what happened when Major League Baseball pitching started adjusting to him, which is what you see with everybody not named like Ronald Acuna, So
my gut tells me Dansby's gone. I don't think they're going to pay Dansby what I'm
getting worried he's going to go to St. Louis or something.
Right. Like, I think he's just going to get priced out. I think there's going to be a number, and the Braves aren't going to match it, and they're like, we love you, but this is just too much for Dansby Swanson. Then they sign Elvis Andrus as a 1-year stopgap, and then they spend the 20-ish million on a starter. Like, I think they don't spend it on a positional player. I think they're going to run it back with Ozuna. They're going to run it back internally, and then they're going to use that money they lost for Dansby on somebody like Chris Bassett, who I think his AAV, it looks like his contract's going to be somewhere around 20. You could maybe talk yourself into Carlos Rodon. Maybe they get in the Nate Eovaldi sweepstakes, then Noah Syndergaard, Taijuan Walker. I think they're going to add a starter. Like, that's the thing. Is like, if they don't re-sign Dansby, my gut tells me that they use that money on a pretty good starter to fill out this rotation.
I could see that. I could see that. Elvis Andrews just doesn't.
I'm
It
really
doesn't
ruining,
move the needle for me.
I'm ruining
at all.
Garrett's weekend.
No,
There'll be weeks where it's
he's
Elvis Andrews
fine.
and Ozuna. Yeah,
He's fine. He's a dude that you go in and plug him in at 8 or something. Plug him in at the bottom of the lineup. I had to Google him to see what to get his stat lines and everything. But 309 on base percentage, solid. 773 slugging, OPS plus 116 last year. He's fine. 103, I guess he was traded to the White Sox. No, he's 103 total. He's fine. Doesn't really move the needle for me necessarily.
he was the definition of average. He had a 105 diversity plus.
It's just average.
Like, yes, 17 homers though. A little bit of pop.
He had a lot of home runs. That's pretty good. But at the end of the day, it's like you're going from Dansby Swanson. You're going to feel a tangible drop off, like going from Dansby Swanson to Andrews. So maybe, one thing that kind of gives me hope is if they are able to offload Marcell Ozuna's contract somehow, and I don't know if they're going to be able to do that necessarily. But
they're talking it in. Like, they're in. They're like, he's going to bounce back next year. And you're like, what is happening?
I don't know, man. I saw Toscano put something out there with that.
Yeah.
If you're able to do that just to get rid of the contract, you do that and then trade Marcell Ozuna and a prospect away for, I don't know, a bag of marbles and then use that money to go re-sign Dansby Swanson, then the Atlanta Braves are at best.